Competition is a beautiful thing. It's part of all of our lives in more ways than we might believe, but it's a great thing because it pulls out the best of us, whether we recognize it or not. And today is no exception, because the NECC as a league has weeded out the best of the best, right? And that brings us to today. The best of the best have landed in our laps, and the grand finals of the Chesapeake region is ready to play out right in front of us. The Shenandoah University Smash Bros. Squad, seated at number 5, is preparing to take on Pace University, the number 2 seed in this region, in the NECC Grand Finals of the Chesapeake region. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot at stake tonight. We hope you'll stay for the whole time because it's going to be great. I am Chris Clayton. I'm joined once again, and as always, by my lovely brother Kevin, because we could not be more excited to bring you today compared to any other broadcast we've ever brought you.
Man, Chris, every time I am on this desk, I get so excited. I try to get into it a little bit ahead of time and try to get into this mindset of what these players are going to be going through. But before I was even ready to start locking in, I see some of our players sitting down getting warm-ups, trying to make sure that they are locked in for these grand finals. So if they're locked in, I can only imagine how much fun it's going to be for us on this desk.
Yeah, the energy in the room, the energy in this tournament has been so much fun to follow, but everybody knows what's at stake, right? This is the end of the road for this semester, but end of the road for only one of 2 teams, and that's what we're here to settle, right? Shenandoah against Pace University. These 2 teams have been through so much, and we'll take you through it in a little bit, but the team in front of you, Shenandoah University, these 4 guys in particular sitting behind us, AJ, Igloo, Kip, Willie, so storied. They have been around for multiple years now. They have had an incredible semester in 2 leagues, mind you, that have got them to this point. They came in seeded at number 5, frankly, underseeded compared to their expectations, but boy, have they outperformed them and found themselves in the grand finals.
It's such a beautiful sight, Chris. So much effort has been put in by these players, and I look forward to seeing the fruits of their labor. We are getting into truly top-level players, not just in the collegiate scene, but also in the Smash scene as a whole. That's the beautiful bit about esports, is that you're not just dealing with that lower bit. You can see the difference between collegiate and pro and any other traditional sport. But here, there's a bit of a hot pot, a bit of a mixing game going on, which means a lot of top talent is going to be played out right in front of our eyes. I cannot wait for it, Chris. I want to know what they've got cooking, and oh, it's going to be so good.
Best of the best. I mean, that is the storyline of this whole season. It's the storyline of competition as a whole. We are here to determine who is the best, because a lot of these teams think they are, and a lot of these teams have reason to believe that they are. And it's such a magical thing that we all get to witness and just ride along with and watch these players put their heart and soul into proving that they are the best of the best. And I believe we have one of our players standing by here very soon. So, without further ado, I believe we have Molly Den. Some of you may know her as one of our regulars out here on the desk, but she is standing by with Igloo to get a quick pregame interview. So Molly, take it away.
Thank you very much, Chris and Kevin. So excited for what is left in store tonight as the only Shenandoah University esports team to make it to the grand finals of the division. Of course, Igloo, this is a new place. This is a new place for you and the team, but there's one thing that's kind of stuck in my mind so far. I remember speaking to you before this year started, and you're like, this is the year. This is the year of the team, and we can go far. How does it feel to meet that point today for the grand finals of NECC?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, Molly. When you look at this team on paper, you know there's a lot of strength here. We've been growing as players, but really coming into this season, we knew that we were going to be quite strong this year. So it's really feels good to be able to break multiple SU records. I know we, are achieving the highest placing SU team in the NECC division, and I know we're at least very close or the best placing team in SU or the NACE Premier division as well. So we're very, very excited that we get to break those kind of records, and we're very excited to field this team in general because we are, performing really well right now, and we're just such a tight-knit group. It's really been a blast to work with these people.
And I know that it's been quite a journey. You guys have had some incredible performances throughout the semester, but also some rather tough ones. And one of those was the team that you have to play today. Pace University was a week 2 loss for you. And it's been, of course, a long time, several months, in fact, since that specific match. What kind of happened after you faced that loss, and how did the team kind of continue to grow from that point?
So the Pace loss was after the William & Mary loss, so we went into our NECC performance going 0-2 off the bat, and that was definitely rough for the team, coming off of, flawless NACE performances going into this other league, and we can't get a win on the board. That was definitely rough for us, and it was a tough time for us to be able to recover from, but we did quickly. I mean, we were able to win the rest of our NECC matches, and we're really excited we get to get the run back versus Pace, because that's a team that, beat us fair and square, but we also feel like we really could have won that match. We feel like that there was just a really small amount of things that went wrong that if went in our favor, we could have taken that victory. So we definitely, took a hard loss with that one, but we are ready to recover for it tonight.
And this is kind of a full circle moment, too, because you also played William & Mary in the playoff bracket, correct? So you beat them to get to this very point, the one last challenge that kind of stands ahead. And I don't want to get too much into your strategies. I know you guys have specific things prepared, but I want to know more kind of how did you kind of mentally prepare yourself and the teams? I know you take a lot more of that leadership role for such a high-stakes match as this one.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure of being able to coach not only the varsity team here at Shenandoah, but also a brand new academy team. And I've also had the privilege of being able to take some coaching classes here at the university. So yeah, we've taken preparation very seriously. We've done some targeted practice in the past 2 days. So we're really trying to prepare specifically for this match. Before the Thanksgiving break, we knew that we were going to have this matchup. So we really did have a decent amount of time to prepare. And we feel like we are well prepared for this match in a lot of different ways, including our bold strategy that's going to come out tonight.
All right, I got a little bit of a hint on what that would be from your teammate Kip earlier, so I'm very excited to see how that unfolds all on the battlefield. But of course, you still have to get that match played. You got to get started. Do you have anything else that you want to say before we head into this grand finals matchup today?
I just want to thank all the viewers for following this team thus far. It's been a long journey, but I hope you've enjoyed as we continue to put our hearts on the battlefield. We're not done just yet. We got a really exciting match coming up, and I'm just glad you're all here to witness it.
There you go. You heard it. SU fans, fans, parents, and of course, friends and students here at Shenandoah University. We are behind your backs today for our Varsity Smash team. Let's go ahead and give them one last cheer, send it back to Chris and Kevin on the desk, and get this match started.
Thank you so much, Molly and Avery. That's very exciting to hear, especially a little teaser there of what's to come. We'll see. This team has sort of laid it all out, right, all year. They kind of have a blueprint that they've certainly become familiar with and sort of cemented themselves, and that's how they got to this point. But they know that they played this team earlier in the regular season, and they did not come out on top, right? Something's got to change, and if Paces came out on top last time, boy, exciting stuff hearing Igloo talk about spicy strategies. But on your screen, we take a look at how we got here. Shenandoah coming out on top over the University of Ottawa and then moving past William and Mary, unfortunately by way of forfeit. But nonetheless, we find ourselves here, right? 5 seed Shenandoah University taking on the 2 seed down on the bottom of your screen, having to make their way through New Haven just last week, coming off a big win against them. And now, grand finals in front of us. 1 game left to determine a winner of this region and an opportunity to compete in the national tournament.
Chris, every time I hear about a new strategy, you can't help but worry just a little bit because you're making a hard call. We talk a lot about if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix it. Especially in a crew battle situation, if you take your lead, a lot of teams don't change up their strategy. And while that would be a safe bet going into this, you said it. They went down. SU went down against this team the last time around. And that means we have information. We're not going in blind. You are going to start making these hard calls before this match is even started. So whatever this roster has cooking up, you better believe they took the time. They marinated on this. Wanted to make sure that everything was done just right, because otherwise it will blow up in your face.
Absolutely. And Pace is no stranger to changing up strategies and making sure that they never really truly show off all of their cards, because we know, okay, so what information did we get from playing them earlier this semester? Well, we know that they started a Game & Watch player against us. They, as far as we could tell, have not done that otherwise, or at least don't do that regularly. So that's something to keep in mind. 2, what the biggest asterisk, not even asterisk, exclamation point on their roster is a player named Jules, who you may remember is a Bayonetta and a Steve player. Now, last time we referred to this player as primarily a Bayonetta player, and the Steve might come out like a non-zero chance. Well, guess what? Last week, we saw the Steve come out against New Haven and perform extremely well. So this Steve is more than a non-zero chance. That's a very real factor in their roster. So information like this is crucial for Shenandoah, but it certainly sounds like they did their homework and have something dialed up and ready to unleash on this university.
Yeah, when you're talking about those two characters in particular, Steve is such a force of nature in Ultimate. It's the same story every single time you see this character. He commands presence, he controls tempo, he does everything that you want him to do, and he will be a guarantee in these sorts of crew battle situations as long as he's picked. Growing up in Ohio, both of us growing up in Ohio, have seen what a good Bayonetta player can do. Good Bayonettas are terrifying, Chris. Can you reasonably say, I want to pick this character over arguably one of, if not the best character in this game? If you do that, you gotta be locked in. You gotta be feeling good. So in this first round, in my opinion, I'm expecting Steve to start. If the momentum shifts into the other side's favor, maybe we see that Bayonetta. Maybe they try to snowball that momentum. Or even so, maybe you try to start with that. Maybe you say, I'm feeling good on this Bayonetta, and then suddenly the Blockman needs to make an appearance because Shenandoah gets that early lead. It's scary, and that is 2 players of a maximum 4. They could have more subs, Chris. There's so much that we don't know, and that, again, is very intimidating, especially consider we have played against them before.
Correct. And last time we played against them, too, I do want to mention that while they started Game & Watch in game number 1, I believe game number 2 and 3, or at least game number 2, they sent out Bayonetta first, which was a jarring change of strategy, and it did catch Shenandoah off guard. They tried to put Farambus in on the NES. It was pretty experimental. Safe to say, did not go very well into the Bayonetta because the Shenandoah was not expecting that. So certainly Jules has shown that he's not uncomfortable going in first. And if it's on Steve, if it's on Bayonetta, clearly it doesn't matter. This player knows how to find success, and it'll be interesting to see if that's what they opt to do. The other players that we know of are a Min Min player, a Sephiroth player, and a Bowser Jr. player. In no particular order, right? As far as I understand, and after talking to the team a good amount, it really sounds like this PACE roster is fairly well balanced, with Jules being number 1 and everybody else pretty much just being right under him. So it's kind of hard to say where the rest of the roster will go. I think we're most confident in a Game & Watch and either the Bayonetta or Steve making an appearance, but the rest is kind of up in the air, and that's a scary factor.
When we grew up in Ohio, man, Ohio is weird with its Smash scene,
Yes,
Chris.
it is.
Because we've seen, so far, every other broadcast we've seen, a lot of character diversity, a lot of characters that we don't always get the chance to see and talk about on the desk. But Min Min and Sephiroth and Steve and Bowser Jr. There was a person who played Wendy religiously in that region just to prove a point.
Yeah.
And I know what all of those characters are capable of. We've talked about it multiple times, how people get creative with these characters that just seem sort of weird. And the only time we have seen any of those characters on this desk was a Min Min player who did solid until they SD'd against Igloo. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know too much about what SU does against that Min Min player, who they want preferably to send in, as opposed to just kind of accepting that extra stock.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and I don't want to get too much into it. I don't want to reveal too much. I've had the opportunity to talk to our players quite a bit, but I don't want to spoil the good stuff, the what makes this series so exciting. But what we expect to go out first, well, I can't even say what we expect. We know that Game & Watch went out first last time we played this school. We know that Jules came out first also last time we played this school. It's going to be interesting to see who we send out first, because all year long it has been Kip, and that has been pretty much set in stone. But really, just fundamentally speaking, in terms of spicy strategies, there's not a ton of variation in crew battle strategy other than moving people around for different reasons. So you have to think that probably either Willie's moving out of the anchor position or Kip is moving out of the opener position.
I mean, you make a good point. The big thing when it comes to SU's roster is that we've been able to see a lot of switching around. A lot of players are filling very similar roles to each other, including the subs. They've been doing an amazing job of showing that they fill the niches that this crew needs. We are aware how valuable that is, where you can really meld your game plan to what the opponent is going after. We saw it when we had Kip saved to deal with that Lucas player in the past, who did an amazing job of building so much pressure against Shenandoah, but then we reserve Kip. Kip stays in the back, trying to answer that deliberately. So now it could be Shenandoah says, we know that Kip will have a great chance against this person. Or maybe we do move Willie. Maybe Willie is going to try and find an opportunity to really get momentum going. There's a matchup, or maybe a player that he's fought in the multiple coin boxes that he's attended. Who knows? There's so many different outcomes when it comes to this. It's so crazy to try and wrap your head around, which is why I'm hoping we're getting into games soon.
Yeah, we should be getting into games soon, and I mean, I'm not going to confirm that this means anything, but you all are seeing what we're seeing on your screen right now. Willie is in the seat right now, so we're getting awfully close to game time here, so that's certainly something to keep an eye out for if he ends up going out first. But I want to take a moment to focus on or to really highlight the human aspect of this team, because they are still coming off a pretty heartbreaking loss in their NECC division against the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. And they did not really get a chance to bounce back from that because of the forfeit 2 weeks ago against William and Mary. So this team has not played since that UNCG loss, and you have to think that they are not satisfied with how that ended, and with an opportunity to bounce back and bounce back hard and in grand finals. This team is very aware of what's in front of them, and I have no doubt they have every intent of going in and taking it.
When you're in this sort of situation, I mean, you have to find an opportunity to reconcile, because that crew battle was incredibly close, and everyone was feeling just so down. They all were like, well, maybe if I made this one different choice, maybe if I rolled in this one situation. And as much as you can look back on that to learn, you can't let that linger over your head. It's so detrimental. And I'm happy to say that I saw this crew sitting down yesterday, doing a warm-up crew battle, getting back into the swing of things. And if they aren't supporting each other, I can tell you at the very least the Shenandoah community at large is. There were multiple people watching that crew battle play out. It's a scrimmage crew battle, Chris. There is very little stake beyond a little bit of pride, and yet people were watching. They were intrigued. They wanted to know what Shenandoah was doing, how things were changing up, maybe the different strategies, or if everyone is doing good. And I'm proud to say that it truly seems they are ready to get back into this.
I would say so, yeah. This team is hot. They're angry. They are hungry for a title, and here we are. I mean, they've made it this far. It's so exciting that we get to be here and even talk about it, get to watch our players. We talked a little bit about this opportunity in the pregame interview too. This is the farthest that I believe a Shenandoah team has ever gone in NECC as a whole. So this team is already breaking boundaries and setting the tone for this season as a whole, but mother of God, they are not done. And they know what they want, and we're here. We should be getting into game here soon. I do see our players adjusting behind us, so we will keep you up to date once we get into game. But man, this is going to be an insanely fun matchup to watch.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be close again and again. It's so very deliberate. You need to be ready. If you got this on your second monitor, you're going to want it on the primary, because we are going to be hopping into game here in just a second or two, because the first matchup has been revealed, Chris. It is Kazuya versus Steve.
Yes, we are receiving word. You might be able to see this behind me, actually. But looks like the players are in a button check right now, but we are seeing the characters on our screen is Kazuya against Steve, like you said. So bold strategy indeed, right? Igloo did not leave us disappointed. If Willie is going out first for Shenandoah, that would be a first for this program. That's an insanely strong player, a very well-rounded player that we generally keep for the back. But Shenandoah saying, hey, something's got to give, something's got to change from last time. So this is the decision they make, and we'll see if it's enough for them to come out on top. But boy, is this exciting already.
Yeah, Chris, we're just seeing a little bit of the button check back here, and I apologize that we cannot show you that at the moment. I mean, obviously, there's not much interesting happening, except for the fact that we're starting to see the craziness of both of these characters already, and I am so worried about this matchup. I feel like when you're talking about unstoppable force versus immovable object, Steve is going to put up these walls and just stand behind it, and Kazuya is going to need to find a way to run in and get that momentum going. Two Titans are going to be crashing at the start of this crew battle, Chris. So here we go, game number one. Kazuya versus Steve. Let's see how this plays out.
Grand finals are underway, and we could not ask for a more exciting start. Kazuya into Steve, two of the best players we will see in this entire series, are going to start the series going at each other. Willie already coming out on top with a 0 to death, starting grand finals off with a Shenandoah lead.
Yeah, and Willie able to find an opportunity to get back to stage and is getting good damage to start things off. Using the electrics to deal with the minecart, catching these roll-ins. I mean, Jules has to be feeling the pressure right now because the scary demon man is making his presence known.
Yeah, wow, we have not even really seen Jules be able to settle in at all. The stage presence has been overwhelming from Willie and really commanding these off-stage interactions as well, finding the little... Wait a minute. Wow, a miscue there from Jules. A rare mistake will send him down to the blast zone and can't come out. This is actually terrifying for Pace University. I'm going to say it because if you can't take even a couple stocks off Willie, that is detrimental to the rest of your team. And this is a team game. This is crew battles. So this is more than just a 1v1. And now Willie off stage finds his way back on and has the kill button online. Here comes a combo, Kevin.
Yeah, but we do see the block coming into play, able to get Steve out of the awkward situation there, as now Willie's Kazuya is back on the stage, does go for the side special, but the anvil getting a little bit of distance underneath Jules means that that setup will work very nicely. A couple more crouch tabs into the air dodge. Can Alex make it back? A good amount of air stall into the stage. Can the air glider bring it back? They will be able to make it back 107% and Diamond online.
Yeah, wow, that was such an interesting offstage interaction, and so far, though, it will not matter! The electric lands, the up B confirms, and Willie walks out with 2 stocks left. What a start for Shenandoah!
Chris, aggressive play calls are what win you games. You can't get complacent in a crew battle setting, and this is the aggressiveness that Shenandoah needed. We've seen so many times, time and time again, where Kip's Pac-Man is the one to set things in, start that tempo, play the game slow, and then it builds up over the crew battle. This time around, Shenandoah is going in with all the momentum. 2 stocks left on their anchor player, and it is dangerous territory.
Oh, okay. So let's break that down because we didn't even really know how to feel about the Kazuya matchup into Steve. Frankly, I don't think I've seen Willie look more comfortable into a character, especially in an online setting. I mean, he was patient, he was deliberate in every single thing he did, and that was a masterclass. Finding those crouching jabs, just little combos here and there. The 0 to death to start is foul and exactly what Shenandoah needs.
Keep an eye on the resource bar throughout all of this, Chris. The Alex did not get the chance to really get their resources online, and it just kept snowballing into Willie's favor, just more and more damage over and over. I cannot express enough how valuable it is to stuff this character out of resources early, and because of that and interactions like that where the Alex let go of the ledge very deliberately to try and do a little bit of a stall, but it doesn't work out there. They weren't able to make it back onto the stage, and it just fell into Willie's hands, and he made sure, if you're gonna give me an inch, I'm taking a mile.
Yeah, okay, so can you walk me through that one really long offstage interaction as well? Because it looked like the Alex might not have been able to make it back, but Willie went down again for the neutral air or down air?
Yeah, the neutral air.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Okay.
Because when you're dealing with a Alex, Steve, the zombie, the Enderman, whoever it is, I mean, you're talking about going up at a certain angle. If you put your stick in the right angle, it really will allow you to recover anywhere onto the stage with that character, but you have to get it right. You have to get the takeoff right. There's a whole bunch of math behind it that, frankly, is a little too complicated without a whiteboard in front of me.
Do we?
But with all of that being said, you want to make sure, you don't want to give the ledge for free. So if you're going to make that call and you're playing with that knowledge in mind, take the extra hit, take the extra damage, get that momentum going a little bit further. And Kazuya is okay off stage. Like, it's not, we're not talking Little Mac here. We're talking a character with a very solid upbeat, good amount of air drift, solid tools to like armor through or like get good landings. You got options. You might as well just keep building that momentum. The best players in Smash Bros. Are the ones who are willing to go off stage. Time and time again, we see it, and it leads to moments like that.
For sure, yeah. And I just wasn't sure, that the neutral air has a spike hitbox. I don't know if that's what he was. I'm sure that was what he was looking for in the moment, but I didn't know if it was just to guarantee or if the Steve could have made it back. I didn't know, but wow. I mean, what a way to start. I mean, that's the primetime matchup of this series that we just saw both. Okay, now we need to think. Okay, so spoiler, I'm going to go back a little bit. I did know that Willie was going in first, and we knew that here, but I didn't want to say it. But that's a hard call out from us. We knew that. It's a hard call out from Pace as well to send out Jules first on the Steve, no less. And to not have it pay out really stings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking about a character matchup that, again, I still feel like once Steve gets that snowball going, that matchup, it should be difficult. I will sit on that. There's some funky stuff that should happen with that. But talking to the experience of Willie, I mean, the online setting, we've seen time and time again. I wish I sent the pictures to the production. This player walks in here and keeps track of their win streaks, plays online until their hands get tired, trying to make sure that they are ready for situations like this. So many people play Steve, whether it's in the coin boxes or in this sort of environment, the Elite Smash, whatever it is. You want that experience against this character, and I think that's what we saw, was a bit of Willie momentum from knowing this matchup and a little bit of Jules keeping Steve as that secondary. It's suddenly a matchup check, it's a knowledge check, and the player who has played the game longer with their respective character tends to have more knowledge on that front, and it pays off.
It certainly does pay off, and now with that payoff, what can they get from it? The answer from Pace will be an Incineroar player. Vic is the response. Can Shenandoah maintain this momentum from a 2-stock advantage, or will Pace find their way back into this series after a really unfortunate start?
Yeah, I would be very worried about this matchup, Chris. This is a character that has sort of fallen out of favor in the community, where we don't see them just as much. But as Willie does get a good grab to start things off, get a good amount of damage, we do see the pressure. Incineroar is a very slow character, so once Willie finds the way in, should be getting good damage, but also the online's going to play a factor here. Incineroar went for the side special and wasn't able to get the sweet spot follow-up, but there is able to get the dash attack with the revenge and set Willie up into the rage percent.
Yeah, here comes that kill button. We know what that button can do, what this down B could do if it lands, but he says, I don't even need it. Willie finding the first kill of this second matchup, and now this Incineroar player forced to find their way back in once again. Not the start you would have liked, but plenty of percentage onto Willie, but sure enough, man, kill button comes out. Incineroar finds himself at 60%, but the forward tilt sends at that famous angle and will finally take a second stock off Willie.
All right, keep an eye on Incineroar's movement throughout this match. He's going to be in the air for a majority of it because his airspeed is so good. And because of that, if he's going to approach, it's going to be difficult for Willie to sort of stuff out. He wants to be fighting against characters who approach on the stage. But with that little bit of momentum, calling out the get up off the ledge, one quick boot to the face means that Willie gets a good amount of damage going. Here comes the Sour Nair into the electrics, knocks him back to the stage. Here comes that electric, goes for the forward smash, but Incineroar recovers just a little higher.
Okay, I can't talk for too long because we know that both of these characters can kill at early percentages, but I want to take a moment to talk. Oh, crew
Chris.
battle strategy, I might not have enough time because the electric lands, the up smash confirms once more, and Willie will find his way through 2 players in a row. Pace University down to 6 stocks, reeling to find a way to take this player down.
I'm intimidated, Chris. I'm intimidated, and I'm not even in this crew battle. We're talking about the scary demon man. Kazuya Mishima is putting in the work, so much momentum into Shenandoah's favor, and it's just working out so well. Little interactions like we saw there. The Incineroar had really good callouts, was approaching with shield, where Willie was trying to go for a side B, punishing Incineroar for having that low movement speed, and yet it didn't matter. Because again, when Willie finds his in, it's art, and it just keeps building. It was beautiful. So as we see, the back tilt there gets a good amount of damage. One good down special to get 58%, Chris. But there's that shield interaction. Incineroar was picking up on it. Clearly very familiar with this matchup in the sense that they had a good game plan going, but we're struggling to find these ends. Gets hit by the forward tilt on a recovery just a little too quickly, and a very good interaction here. Goes for the electric, sees the DI line going out, and takes the time to very deliberately dash forward, not sitting in place, goes to the Incineroar to get that up smash.
It's so much fun to watch. It's so impressive to watch. And I started to say it a little bit in that last stock, but the unfortunate truth for Willie is that the expectation is more than 3 stocks, right? And maybe this is an exception because we truly believe that they sent out their best player first, so that's worth more than just your average 3 stocks. But the truth is, the risk Shenandoah took here by putting Willie in first, I'm sure was expecting him to take out 1 player and then some. So to not only succeed in that sense, but to take out an entire extra player with 1 stock left and an opportunity to take out as many more as he's able, I would say that this risk, this decision, has safely paid off.
Oh, absolutely. We just saw what they believe to be the counter pick for Willie's Kazuya. They had the opportunity to pick anyone from their roster, whether it was this Game & Watch or the Sephiroth or the Bowser Jr., all these characters we saw before. This time around, they said, okay, we're going to send in Incineroar. This is our answer to Kazuya Mishima. And then it wasn't. There's 1 stock left on the Scary Demon Man, and you have to look at the rest of your players wondering, who do we send in to deal with this beast?
Yeah, I don't know. You have to think, okay, so of the 5 characters we had in the pregame, 2 of them now gone, right? Steve is gone, and Incineroar, who I guess we didn't even know about, is now gone. The option that they go for now is the Bowser Jr. I would have expected probably the Min Min or the Sephiroth to really combat this range, but we find ourselves with a Bowser Jr. on our screen.
Man, I mean, I am loving to see that. Bowser Jr., Roy, our boy. He is on screen, a different Roy, but Roy nonetheless has appeared to deal some good damage. And we're back on Town and City. And already, Chris, a Willie Electric stuffed out the side B and an uppercut stuffed out the... Chris, what is... The invincibility is playing more into factor than I have ever seen before. This is craziness. 32% and a very aggressive down air. The invincibility is called out again. Those weren't flukes, Chris. Willie is very deliberately going for these electrics to punish it as an anti-air. That's crazy.
Okay, I can't get over some of these interactions.
No,
this
Chris.
might be a kill, and it is! He finds another stun. The forward smash connects Bowser Jr. down to their last stock before we even recognize that we're in the game. Willie with an opportunity to take out a 3rd player, but he is at 100%. The forward smash comes out, and it is just enough to take him out. But good Lord, look at your screen. The audience clapping for that man as he walks into the sunset with 8 stocks in his back pocket.
He got what he needed, Chris. He did exactly what he needed to, and then some. You do not need to go into a crew battle expecting to take this many stocks. You are supposed to go in and say that I will take 3. I will take 1 player, and that is it. And Willie, knowing it's Grant, locking in and saying, I am getting as much value as I can. The momentum will not stop. It is all on me to make sure no one is comfortable when playing against a Mishima.
Yeah, okay, so I want to talk a little bit, again, I started to talk about it before we got into the series, and these characters move and kill too fast, but I really think the strategy from putting Willie in first was to try to bait out this Min Min, and I think the idea is that Min Min into Kazuya is really good on paper, but Willie is actually really confident into Min Min, so he was just going to win anyway. We have actually received word that the Min Min was the Incineroar player. So while their strategy worked to bait out this player, it was not actually on the character they thought, and ultimately ends up with what we have on our screen, right? We take that player out, Pace forced to send in somebody who I'm sure did not want to go into Willie or into that character, but is now forced to clean up after the mistakes of the first two players. They lose 2 stocks along the way and only barely get a forward smash onto Willie before what could have been a 3-stock and Willie moving into his 4th player.
That is such a good intel, Chris, not only because that gives us a little bit more information about what not to expect going forward, but that also it tells us a little bit about this story. 2 secondaries were sent in. This is grands, Chris. You have to have a lot of faith in these characters, and you are putting in these players on their secondaries. That is an incredible call out from the other side to be aware and make that call, basically saying, hey, we should not be going for anything crazy. I don't understand, Chris. You can play aggressive. You can make hard callouts by your character swaps or swapping your players around. But if it doesn't work out, we end up in scary situations like this. And I mean, Boju is now going to have to put in a lot of work, but he seems like he wants it as he gets a very good amount of damage to start up against Igloo.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? If you've been listening to our comms through this whole broadcast, you might think that this set is already over. It is not. This is a team game, and now Shenandoah has done what they need. They are in the position that they wanted to be in, but the job is not finished. These 9 stocks from Shenandoah's 3 remaining players still need to go in and clean out these 4 remaining stocks from Pace, and it starts with taking out this Bowser Jr., but so far, looking pretty comfortable against this Yoshi here, Igloo, but finding his way back. Now the cart is gone, the jump's still there, so Bowser Jr. will make their way back, and not quite able to side B back onto the stage, and we find ourselves back in a relatively neutral state, but Igloo, with such a stock advantage, can play a little reckless if he wants to and find himself in these situations, but an up smash will connect there. Only 70% landing on this Roy.
Yeah, here's the big thing about this matchup, Chris. We talk about guarantees with combo characters, and Bowser Jr. is one of those characters that falls into that category, but is kind of slept on. You don't see crazy. What in the world? An egg set up into the up air following the Roy player to the heavens and hitting him with an egg to the face. I was not ready, Chris. I was talking about how Igloo may need to play this a little bit slower because Roy has these guarantees. It's a very dangerous spot. He says, enough with being slow. We didn't get here being slow. We got to this point with full momentum in our favor, so I'm going to follow you up there. You are not going to air dodge because you air dodged earlier, and I punished you for it. You're going to say, I can't air dodge anymore. All right, here's an egg.
Right, and this is the cushion that Shenandoah has built for themselves. It allows for this type of mentality, this type of play style to make its way out onto the field, right? We see Igloo going up in situations where really all season long we haven't seen him go for a combo like that, and we see the forward air land, right? Just approaching and throwing out forward airs, throwing eggs midair into kill confirms, right? These are not the types of things that we commonly see out of Igloo, but when you have a stock advantage like we do, it opens so many doors to really put the gas on against this team and not let them breathe. They don't have time to think anymore. They need to go and take now 8 stocks with 1 player left.
And we are getting word, Chris. This is when you expect your final boss music. You need to send an anchor in who can get that pressure going. And you got the theme right, Chris. It sounds like Sephiroth is going to be the anchor. And that is a very strange sort of situation. I feel like you expect Sephiroth to be this final boss, but I view him in a very similar light to what Shenandoah has with Yoshi and Falco and Jigglypuff and Captain Falcon. You expect that character to be in the middle. Yes, they have a comeback mechanic, but they're very light. And if you're wanting to hold on to stocks for a really long time, light characters are not always the answer, which means I am expecting to see some crazy movement from the Sephiroth. Otherwise, Shenandoah is going to walk away with a very strong performance to start things off.
You're absolutely right. I think the descriptor I would use for Sephiroth in a at least crew battle setting is more of a role player, right? And this is not the type of character that you see go on 8 stock runs at the front or back of your roster. But, I mean, we don't get to make decisions anymore, right? Pace has a need laid out in front of them, and we don't get to hypothesize. If Pace wants to come out on top in set number 1, it will take an 8 stock run from this player. So we find ourselves underway. The counter comes out. Igloo already all over that one, finding his patience, contesting the ledge, the Octo Slash, finding Sephiroth's way back to stage. But, I mean, look at this patience from Igloo already, finding this Sephiroth all the way up to 100%. We see the wing come out. Such an interesting mechanic, giving him that extra jump and, a little bit of super armor on his smash attacks. And we'll see if that ends up paying off. A well-timed spot dodge, but not enough off of it. Very slow gameplay so far, Kev.
And that's what it needs to be. The Sephiroth is doing a really good job of taking up a lot of space, throwing out these sword moves to try and keep pressure on Igloo, but when you go off stage, you follow Sephiroth, and Sephiroth off stage is nothing crazy. Yes, he is able to poke you at a distance, but if you can dance around that, Chris, then you can take the stocks however you like.
And look at these reads. I feel like every time this Sephiroth has thrown out his counter, like, maybe 3 or 4 times, and I think every single time Igloo has been there to stand there and wait right in their face. He does find the forward air off stage, finds the spike, and this character is so light they don't have a chance to recover. Sephiroth's recover is very impressive, but it doesn't matter if you're already in the blast zone.
And I mean, we're seeing the damage built up. Sephiroth may have crazy movement, Chris, but Igloo is dancing around what he has to offer and is getting the pressure going, living at 143, while Sephiroth has been losing stock so early. Again, this is the anchor. This is who they saved for the end, and this time around, they do end up taking 1 stock, but Igloo is on a fresh one, and Sephiroth needs to continue to run around this dino.
Yeah, smart play there from Sephiroth to finally take their first stock, really zoning out the Yoshi, forcing Igloo to jump. And with that insanely high jump and an insanely large sword. Oh, my lord! Interesting interaction there as Igloo does opt to go up and find the forward smash, but that's the comeback mechanic making itself known. The super armor on that down smash means that he does still get it off and sends Igloo up high. Now 100% for both of these players in a last hit situation. Now both of these players on 1 stock. If Casey's able to get this stock, it will be a fresh slate going into Shenandoah's next player, but I mean, that's a tall order.
Yeah, here come the flares, Chris, doing a good amount of damage, using that extra jump to secure the stock, and Sephiroth does walk away, 1 stock in hand, resetting his percentage back down to 0. Is still a factor in this game. 2 players left for Shenandoah, 1 stock for the opponent. It is possible for that reverse sweep, Chris, but you have to get through Falco or Jigglypuff or Captain Falcon or Pac-Man, who has put in so much work for Shenandoah before. That's a lot to ask when you're playing the Final Fantasy villain. It's so much.
Yeah, you have to think that, we talked a little bit about it in the pregame for the William and Mary match. We had a LAN here in this very arena, and it was an awesome event. We had a lot of fun, a lot of really impressive Smash players come out to try to assert themselves as the best player in the region. And that LAN ended up being Willie against Kip in the grand finals. And it really makes you believe that both of those players are really neck and neck in terms of skill level, right? We hype Willie up a lot. He is the anchor. He goes on crazy runs. He plays Kazuya, right? It's a lot of flashy, a lot of fun to watch. But the truth is, the reality of this team is that our opener and our closer are right there on each other. So you have to think, if Willie just went in there and took 8 stocks, and you know that Shenandoah has 2 players left, one of them is arguably just as good and you need to go in there and 3-stock him, I'm never going to use the word impossible on this desk. But boy, is that about as close as it's going to get.
Yeah, and we're getting word here on the desk that it sounds like the Pac-Man will be saved for last. AJ will be going in now, and I think that's a safe bet. When you're dealing with these guarantees, again, Falco is a character that gets a very good combo game going, and you know what to expect going into that matchup. But Pac-Man has so many unique and crazy setups, you don't want to give that information just yet. So AJ is going to step in here, close out this 1-stock, and try to give as little information about himself and whoever is left as possible.
Yeah, I didn't get to say it during that Igloo series, but I was, selfishly, as a Shenandoah student, kind of hoping that Igloo would be able to take that for that exact reason. How nice would it have been if Shenandoah did not even have to send out a third player? Take 12 stocks in set number 1 through 2 of you would be such a strong start, but unfortunately, that's behind us. God forbid Shenandoah have to send out a third player. Like, all right, I'm getting picky, but information matters, and that was certainly in my mind at the end of that series.
The moment where Igloo walked up to the Sephiroth and forward smash while Sephiroth was just sitting there, let's make this clear. If Sephiroth did not let go of that button at that moment, he would have lost that stock.
Yeah, probably died.
Sephiroth doesn't have the armor while he's in the middle of the smash attack charge. He has it while he's using it. There's online delay. There's so many factors. It was an aggressive call-out, but it would have probably secured that stock. And again, you're allowed to play aggressive in these sorts of situations. I think we saw that from Igloo. I think Igloo knew that that is what SU was hoping for. But if that is the case, so be it. Sephiroth with the slow, dramatic walk, understanding that he is the villain in this story, trying to hold on to the last stock and close things out. 3 stocks on AJ, 1 stock on Casey. Can this Sephiroth be the absolute demon that he is, or will Falco be able to close this out?
Yeah, you have to think there is still a mental game at the end of the day, and Sephiroth is a very intimidating character, both gameplay-wise and canonically. So that slow walk off stage. Wow, the wing is out already, 40%. That's crazy, no?
It is, and it's because of the stock deficit, Chris. Because he only has 1 stock, that means that the wing will be online so much earlier. I wasn't even thinking about how valuable that could be in this anchor position. I was so focused on the survivability. This character will have extra jumps and super armor for the rest of this crew battle.
Yeah, wow, that's so interesting, and it's so rare that we talk about characters really having an advantage in this sort of crew battle setting, but Sephiroth is definitely one of them, and I did not think of that, but a great offstage read there, the jump into the forward air, catching AJ's jump, well done, but again, I mean, one of many still remaining. AJ with an opportunity did get 70% on that first stock and has plenty more room to work with. So as he looks to find his way back on stage, 100% now, landing those forward airs is a scary place to be if you are this Sephiroth.
Yeah, Sephiroth has been doing a really good job of punishing AJ when approaching, using the shield in just the right spots to prevent these Falco combos from coming online. Does get the down smash to stuff out the side special, but AJ doing a good job recovering high, getting past the Sephiroth. Sephiroth going to have to use the up special again, get back to ledge. Falco going for the forward smash, trying to call out the shield grab, but it won't be enough this time around, as now the up tilts are sending Sephiroth very high up. Chris, this character does so much, and yet they are so incredibly light. You need to be careful, as 1 forward air from center stage is already building momentum back into AJ's favor.
Yeah, and look at how impressive that sword is on Sephiroth. AJ's really struggling to walk up, and he hasn't really needed to just yet, but it feels like every time he taps his stick in the direction of Sephiroth, there's a forward tilt, a forward air. The sword is all the way out, but look at how far that is launching this Sephiroth, 160%. It's rare that we see this character live to that percentage, but the up tilt lands on the ledge now. Casey with an opportunity here, 1 stock left before AJ does catch him going off stage, looking for maybe a little opportunity to cheese, but the forward air lands on the ledge, and it will be enough. Casey put in one heck of an effort to try and claw back, but not enough to get home. Shenandoah will take set number 1 in rather commanding fashion.
It was beautiful to see Shenandoah putting in the effort leading into this match. We talked about it at the start of the broadcast, Chris. They wanted this win, and they are going for it all. It is beautiful, Chris. I love it.
Yeah, this squad, you're right. We said it. This squad knows what's at stake. They know what they want because, boy, do they want it. So, an aggressive decision, something we haven't seen all year. Shenandoah sending Willie out first in set number 1, player number 1 of grand finals, and having it pay off with dividends is so exciting for what this team could be capable of.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum starting off with a Willie 0 to death set the pace for the rest of this series, Chris. It was beautiful. I mean, truly, there was so much going on, and yet, I don't know. It could be just anything that brings it back into Jules' favor, but look at it. There's so much that fell into Willie's hands. He's able to build this percent so quickly, following Steve with the up special. I mean, so many little interactions, Chris.
Yes, and let's talk about that matchup a little bit more, that opening matchup, because the reality of the situation, I think, after watching that live and watching the replay, admittedly, I think Jules just looked a little off. I really don't think we saw the best out of them, and I think it's safe that we should not expect that result out of that matchup every time they play. And so, given that, though, okay, we talk about it all the time. If you're the loser, something's got to change. And if you're the winner, you generally don't. But with a situation like this, I can't help but feel like it's a little different, no?
A little. My big thing isn't necessarily that the players or the order needs to change. I want to see the primaries from this other team.
Valid.
I am expecting Pace to go for this sort of situation where they need the Bayo and the Min. Yes, Willie is scary. Look at this. 8 stocks taken. It is craziness. Almost 3 stocks taken for everyone that he has. That's a tall order. But how do you deal with a character like that? You need to be on comfort. You need to have your autopilot combos going, and instead, very deliberately, get your momentum through dodging what your opponent has, using all of what's going up here to get that momentum going. So sure enough, we're hopping into the next round of this crew battle, and the Casey is on the Bayo, Chris. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow. Okay, no, we did have a correction there. This is Jules on Bayonetta. So, okay, here's insider trading number 2. Another massive storyline and strategy coming into today was that Shenandoah actually really wanted this matchup. We didn't even need to see it in the first set because Jules went out first. That was not what Shenandoah was expecting, but it worked out great in the end. The reason they sent out Willie is because of this. They wanted Kip into Jules on the Bayonetta. So this is actually just as pivotal of a moment as the start of last series. Again, if you've got us on your side monitor, or you're sort of half paying attention until the end, don't. This is the time to watch what's happening on your screen, and so far, Kip is starting hot.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum is definitely falling into Kip's favor, but the percentages do start to even out just a little bit, Chris. Kip has been taking a good amount of damage, and it's because Bayonetta's combos can get crazy. The Fire Hydrant landing right on top of Bayonetta, but the invincibility frames on the get-up were able to sort of stall that out. Here comes the Bell, able to get a little bit more damage, and Bayonetta living to 150. The back air from Pac-Man connects and gets 89 in return. I mean, it is going well. If this is the matchup that Kip wanted, this is exactly what Shenandoah wants.
Oh my god, I could not have said it better. And there's a factor at play here too. Kip actually has not played yet. He was the one player that we did not actually see in set number 1. So again, Shenandoah getting aggressive and changing up their playstyles, opting to avoid any of the players that we consider hot or like warmed up. Wow, an aggressive call out there from Jules. But ultimately, Kip so far is finding everything he needed, everything that Shenandoah wanted coming into this series so far. It's only been one stock. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but boy, does this look good so far.
Yeah, keep an eye on these witch times. Notice how they're getting a little bit more frequent, Chris. The higher the percent that the opponent is at, the longer they will be stuck in witch time, which means that Bayonetta can get some really crazy setups going, potentially going for those crazy smash attacks. But for now, Kip does make it back to the ledge. And look at these offstage interactions.
Man.
2 characters who are willing to stay off stage for a really long time.
I was just about to say, yeah, these 2 characters have to be 2 of the characters that can spend the most time off stage. Bayonetta is infamous for these insanely long combos, and I guess I should say, wow, I guess I should say spend time in the air specifically. Usually for Bayonetta, it's above the stage, carrying you all the way to a blast zone, but I mean, we know, we say it all year. Anytime Kip finds himself off stage, that Pac-Man can recover from wherever he wants. So both of these characters, when they find themselves off stage, are going to create some really interesting situations like this. Now, watch the trampoline. Won't matter there, in the back air will finally take Kip's first stock, but not before he gets one of his own and 100% the other direction.
Yeah, it's sort of snowballing into Kip's favor, but a bell grab from the Bayonetta is now a factor to keep an eye on. You need to be very deliberate about that. If your opponent knows the tech to grab the fruit away from you, you need to be careful. Keep that in mind going forward, but the key is thrown out. Trying to get this last hit on this Bayonetta, but Chris, here comes a good amount of Bayonetta damage, bringing Kip to the top blast zone. 1, 2. Does not connect, which means that now Kip is at 83%, and yes, that's a lot, but in return, it's not easy for Bayonetta to close out the stocks beyond that, so now the back air means that Kip will get another stock.
Okay, I mean, that's the first time so far in this matchup that we've seen, oh wow, Bayonetta get one of those combos that we were talking about. An unfortunate offstage interaction does go Bayonetta's way. The weird interaction around, the weird interactions around Pac-Man's trampoline do unfortunately come back to bite him that time, and we knew that offstage these characters would get quirky, and that's a tough break for Kip, but you have to shake that one off because he's been playing so well. There's no reason to think he couldn't do it again.
Yeah, Bayonetta going very far off stage, trying to close it all out there. Pac-Man going for the smash attack. Bayonetta does get the extra bit of up special to get back onto the stage, and it does work out. Using the Nair to get out of these Bayonetta combos is going to be critical. Again, Bayonetta does struggle to close out these stocks, so it's going to be on Kip to find his opportunity first. The Bayonetta smash attacks are coming out in full force, as we do see a raw bell on the landing lag means that Kip walks away with the stock lead in this crew battle, and again, Jules is knocked out early.
I mean, this is going to be the storyline of the series. No matter which way this series goes, Jules has not been able to take out a player yet. And this was the player that Shenandoah had on their radar. This was the one to keep an eye out for. And now 2 sets in a row with 2 different people, mind you. They've been able to take out the trash, get it out of their way, and move on to the rest of the roster. This is exactly how Shenandoah drew it up, and I could not be happier for these guys.
Oh, absolutely, because you're talking about the strategy. The mental game started in round 1. Get Jules on the Steve, call them out, try to get them on a more comfortable pick like we were saying, and sure enough, it happens, but that sets up for Kip's success now. And again, this player, such an imposing factor, is now out of the way, Chris. We're dealing with a lot of very good players on the side of pace, but I don't know. I mean, Shenandoah still has a Pac-Man in play.
Yeah, you just have to think, too, like with that interaction we just saw, Kip losing a stock at a really early percent, preventing this from being the exact same as set 1. right? There's no reason to think that Kip could not have walked away with 2 stocks remaining without that really unfortunate break. So that's a big deal for Pace to keep them in this series. But again, first time around, it was Willie going on the tear against Jules and then unleashing against the rest of the roster. And what did I say at the end of that at the end of set number 1? These 2 players are neck and neck. There's no reason for us or any of you at home to believe that Kip cannot get a lot of extra credit here. With unfortunately only 1 stock, it probably won't be as much unless he gets a 3 stock here. But you have to think that Pace with a counter pick is going to have something that they like drawn up here. But with Willie now in reserve, and probably now we expect to come out last, barring something drastic, Shenandoah has to feel great about where they're at.
Absolutely. We are talking about a situation where the cards are falling into Shenandoah's favor. And we have seen Kip take multiple stocks on his 1, where he just finds this momentum and plays this patient game. Looking at what we've seen so far, you have Incineroar or Min Min, you have Sephiroth, as well as a character who I'm forgetting. What is the last character I am blanking?
Min Min, Incineroar, Sephiroth, Bowser Jr.
Bowser Jr. Noticing something here, Chris. The Sephiroth may be like the best option to get past that fire hydrant, to kind of poke through. But beyond that, if Kip gets past that character, assuming that's who they send in next, I don't know. It's a lot to ask, and we can see a repeat situation here, which is madness.
Yeah, a big difference between these 2 teams across the season has been that Shenandoah was very stagnant in their order. And if there's anything we've learned about Pace, it's that they are very fluid with their order. Their players are very equal in skill. They just have different characters that they play. And it's what got them the 2 seed in this bracket. They found a lot of success on various different characters, putting them in and being able to sort of micromanage and find the matchups that you want. So I think it's safe to say that just because we saw Sephiroth be the anchor in set number 1 does not mean he could not come out now, because I truly think that this Pace roster would feel comfortable putting anyone back there. But we are receiving word from our production team that it will be Vic once again on the Incineroar instead of the Min Min again. So this did not work out last time, although I have to admit, it did look pretty good into Willie's Kazuya.
It did, and I know that this character is such a, I won't say coin flip, but crazy. Just like, there's such a big momentum shift between Incineroar landing a side B and knocking you out at 60 to Incineroar not being able to make it back to the stage because he cross-chops to the bottom blast zone.
Right.
Like, it's weird. Especially, Kip is a projectile player, and you're playing a character that is slow. Yes, they have the tools to sort of get in. You can revenge the fruit, maybe. Maybe you try to get a little bit of damage going that way. That doesn't change the fact that you are playing a grappler. You need to get the hit. And Pac-Man is willing to sort of dance around what you have going on. I don't know. This is a very interesting choice. I think it's going to be do or die the moment that they get out of the gate. The moment that they taunt, whoever has that initial momentum will probably either decide if Kip is taken out early or if he's going to get a lot of extra credit.
Yeah, there are 2 things that I want to mention as we prepare to load into our second matchup of set number 2. 3 2s in a row. 2 things I want to mention. 1, I'm fairly certain that Kip actually does not love this matchup. From being around Kip as a player, I just know that he doesn't like playing against this character. I'm not sure if it's a him thing or if it's a Pac-Man thing. It's hard to say, but that's something to keep in mind. And 2, right when I said that I thought Incineroar did pretty good against Willie's Kazuya, the reason I said that is because I actually think the Incineroar looked the best against the Kazuya. So I think it's interesting that they opted to put this Incineroar out now instead of potentially saving it for the inevitable Kazuya that they know is coming. But I guess you have to deal with what's in front of you, and sure enough, it is the Pac God in front of us. So Kip, looking very comfortable so far, and certainly proving me wrong to start. that he can absolutely be comfortable into this matchup.
Yeah, Chris, what did we say about initial momentum? Right now, Kip is looking really good, and the rage was lost on the fire hydrant, Chris. That Incineroar player was doing a really good job of holding on to it for as long as they could, but this time around, gets caught on the jump, gets hit by the bell, and Kip has that initial momentum. Chris, it's looking like a lot of extra credit. I don't know about you.
Yeah, all of a sudden that looks so much more realistic. We were talking about the difference between having 2 stocks and 1 stock, and thinking that the only way that Kip can come out and see a third player like Willie did would be a 3 stock here. Well, all of a sudden, Kip on his second stock, or the Incineroar on their second stock, and Kip only at about 10% until just recently. Looking pretty good so far, but ultimately the goal, I'm sure, is, oh my god.
Oh no, Chris.
Okay, I didn't know what we were looking at there, but the footstool combo doesn't set up into anything just yet. A 3 stock is absolutely on the table, and that is more than worst case scenario if you are Pace.
Oh no! The Bell call out on the side special. Immediately receives the Taco Bell bong. Immediately hits him dead in the face, and he just goes, Chris. Incineroar is eating a lot of damage so quickly, and Kip, I mean, he's doing a great job. Look at him staying in the air. He doesn't want to get anywhere near this cat who wants to go for this side B, wants to get in real close. Kip is perfectly fine staying high, get a little bit of chip damage going, and it's set up for the Bell to close things out. Look at this, dancing around the up smash, still not in that sort of range as he goes for the grab. Incineroar trying to get a setup of his own with the Hydrant. Air dodges past, the side special comes out. Incineroar takes a lot of damage, but he is a super heavyweight. He will be able to hold on for just a little bit longer as Kip throws another Bell, goes for the back air. Is it enough this time? It is! Kip resets his percent, and we are seeing it, Chris. He is just as good as we remember.
Oh my god, Kevin! This is grand finals! Shenandoah, 2 sets in a row, finds their way on their first player, taking out 2 opponents. And I mean, this is it. This is a best of 3. If Shenandoah is able to close this out the way they did the first time around, that's it. Pace's season is over.
I am baffled, Chris. We saw how good that this team was before, but Shenandoah making a point, saying that they want this win, pulling all of the tricks, all of the strategy to make sure that they are dancing in the palm of their hand. Everything is playing out as Shenandoah wanted it to. You could point at whatever strategy book they had in front of them, and it is a tutorial. Step by step, it is working out exactly how they want. Kip needs the initial momentum. Boom, he's got it. We need Kip to fight the Bayonetta player. Well, let's get him off the Bayonetta. Let's beat that Steve player. Who do we need to beat that Steve player? Oh, it's going to be Willie. We need Willie to go in, get that initial momentum going, get him scared. And that is what that character does best. It's all falling into place, Chris. It's beautiful.
I'm speechless, Kevin. We just saw those replays. That was textbook. You said it. It was gorgeous. It's exactly what Kip needed to do in all 3 of those stocks. Taking care of business, and again, he gets the reset. He gets to come into this next matchup like he never got hit in that first one. So, we talked about the game plan really working out for Shenandoah. Okay, the people on our screen performing so far have been Willie and Kip, but boy, I want to credit that guy. I can't point far enough. Igloo is team captain here, and I got to talk to him. As far as I understand, this truly was his game plan. This strategy was his baby. He said, we're going to put Willie in set number 1 and drew it up, got exactly the read he wanted, just an Incineroar instead of a Min-Min, and it worked out perfectly. They commandingly take set number 1. They fall back with their advantage to their normal setup, set number 2, and it's paying off just great. So this is such a team effort. Kip and Willie going out and executing, but Igloo drawing it up from before this series even started. I'm so happy and so impressed with how these guys are performing right now.
Chris, I mean, it's beautiful to see because not only did he sort of come up with the strategy, but also he's seeing the fruits of the labor. heavy is that crown, Chris? It doesn't only mess with how you approach a winning situation. They were seated higher, but also Pace has to be feeling the pressure. You tend to overthink situations, and that has fallen into SU's hands. So now Kip is able to play his game, and once again, Chris, momentum is falling into Kip's favor. And when this player gets enough good momentum to start a game, it is very hard to deal with this game plan going forward.
Yep, caught him with that Taco Bell. You said it last time. Kip finding that first stock already. Player number 3 for Pace, just looking to take this one stock. And again, we now don't see the advantage we saw from this character before. The stock advantage will mean that he doesn't get that wing until extra late now, because he's not in the advantage, or I guess the disadvantage that he was in last time we saw this character. So Pac-Man now getting sent off stage and caught jumping there. That sword is huge. That up smash covers so much space. That up air covers so much space. And here's the scary part of playing Sephiroth, is being above him.
Now, here's the big thing about this matchup, Chris. Sephiroth is doing a really good job of taking up space, and that's the difficult part when you're setting up with Pac-Man. If you can't deal with the space, then that will work against you. The bell does connect. Kip getting the up air, gets the regrab, tries to go for more, but Sephiroth calling him out, saying there's no crazy setup you can get when you got a bell in your hand. So gets good amount of damage going, but Kip looking for this last stock. Goes for the key into the Hydra. It won't be enough just yet. The wing is online, Chris. Sephiroth is at 140, and Kip 156 with a bell thrown out. Gets a little bit of momentum going, but not going for anything too crazy. Drifts back again, is willing to play this patient game. Sephiroth does have the pressure game, but the big thing is that you gotta get close. And when you're dealing with a sword of that length, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that is the strength of Sephiroth. I mean, we talk a lot about how light that character is and how that is a sort of drawback inherently of Sephiroth, but the exact opposite is where he thrives, and that is the length of that sword. We saw it in all directions, right? That forward tilt zoning, the forward air, the back air, as well as the vertical zoning, the up smashes, the up airs on the ledge. That character occupies space, and it's exactly what you said, and that player just did a great job of showing what Sephiroth can really do. But Kip not going down without a fight. 7 stocks taken, does get one off the Sephiroth, comes close to getting another one, but ultimately Casey does walk away with 2 stocks remaining, and now 2 players remain for Pace. A better situation than before, but marginally.
Look at how Sephiroth on that last replay forward tilted twice. I know that just sounds like a weird thing to say, like, yeah, he did the move twice. What does that imply? He takes up space. It's so much space that Kip had to hold shield, let go, dash forward, and then he was able to do it twice in that interaction alone. It's so incredibly valuable to know how fast your opponent is. If your opponent is slow, suddenly a lot of times you could just take up that space. You can throw out another attack because it will be relatively safe. Your opponent has to get close to you whether you like it or not. So you gotta be ready for it. And this Sephiroth player was. 2 stocks remaining on the Sephiroth player, 5 for Pace. It is very doable. Let's not take away from that. Speaking of doable, I have once again been baffled because we are about to see Igloo go in, but not on the prehistoric dino. No, we're going to the future, Chris. Space bounty hunter Samus Aran has entered the playing field.
Yeah, okay, so this was another part of Igloo's game plan that he laid out to me. He said the part of the plan was that if he needed to go into the Bayonetta to likely clean up after Kip, if he wasn't able to take out the Bayonetta, that he would then go in on the Yoshi. But he said if the goal was to just take out the middleman, or the middlemen, in the form of this Sephiroth and the Bowser Jr. that he was planning on playing Samus. So here we are, right? Igloo's game plan coming to fruition once again, finding the matchup he wanted before this series even started. The Samus makes its way out onto the field, and with an opportunity to remove Pace's third player and really put the pressure on one human being. We'll see when we get there, but gotta get there first as Sephiroth charges and up smash and catches Igloo sleeping on that one.
Yeah, we do see a situation where Igloo trying to stall in the air, but this character can't stall nearly as long as you would expect. While, yes, those bombs do offer a little bit of support to keep Samus small and in that sort of bouncing state, it doesn't lead to too much more. So that's Sephiroth doing a good job. Trying to go for the down tilt, stuck in the stun of the neutral B into a dash attack. Craziness, Chris.
And again, the weight of Sephiroth comes back to bite him. That was a dash attack. That's not the deadliest move in Samus's kit, but it's enough to find a kill at about 100% on the ledge. It's an insane factor that we all need to accept, that this DLC character that we all probably expected to be a little bit more intimidating dies so quickly. Look at the pressure that Igloo is able to apply right now.
Chris, there have been multiple times where Shenandoah's players have danced around Sephiroth counter. They have been getting Sephiroth taking damage, making that counter disappear. That thing hurts. That thing is scary to try and hit and challenge, and yet Shenandoah's players have been doing a really good job of dancing around it and getting so much value off of it because of that. So Sephiroth, sitting at 89, will be struggling to find another counter opportunity as Igloo is just keeping that pressure going. The jab one into the dash back, not trying to get anything too crazy. Goes for the back air. Sephiroth is too late, Chris, and Igloo holds on to 2 stocks with Samus.
I mean, how many times can we say it? Sephiroth has such an Achilles heel, and it is that weight. This character is so strong and so good at so many things, but the drawback is undeniable. It's so jarring how early that character dies. And we've said it probably 5-6 times now. That character has now had 6 stocks on our screen, and I'm sure we've said it all 6 times Sephiroth has died, that it's way earlier than we expected. It's tragic. It's the tragic truth of that character, but it's what you sign up for when you pick it, right? It's not like Casey doesn't know that going into it, but we find ourselves here as Casey will be knocked out. Not after taking that 1 stock off Igloo, but unfortunately for Pace, not anymore.
I mean, it was very well played by Igloo, Chris. I will leave the conversation of Sephiroth with the wise words of a content creator known as Nairo. Mid. Anyway, now that we are past that point, 1 character is left remaining. It is Bowser Jr., Chris.
Should be.
It is a Bowser Jr. versus Samus matchup, and you said that this is what Igloo wanted. Wanted to play this character against that sort of matchup and deal with it that way. So I would be very scared to see that matchup play.
Okay. So we did just get word. Sorry, I just physically reacted. We did just get word from our production team, and there was a question mark that I had from set number 1, and it was the fact that of the roster I was given, the roster that we researched in Pace, the 2 confident characters, I was told, were Jules on either Bayonetta or Steve, and Game & Watch. And I don't know if you all have been watching along with us all day, but we certainly were. And part of set number 1 was that there was no Game & Watch part of set number 1. So that was something I was going to mention right after you stopped talking, was, you know what? We haven't seen this Game & Watch player yet. Well, I'm going to stop stalling about it. We did just get word that Pace is putting in the Game & Watch. So this player will act as an anchor, and in set number 2, having not played today yet.
I don't know. It's worrying because you're playing a character. Once again, yes, the character is light, but the character is also relatively safe. I do think that this could be a very good anchor. in the right hands, this character is very slippery. It's very hard to hit. It's very hard to get that damage. It's very hard to get your final hit for the stock, which means that this Game & Watch player's going to be needed to take 8 stocks. That's a tall ask, but with the right tools in his arsenal, he might be able to even things out. He just needs to get a little crazy with some of the options. We may see some crazy hammer setup. We may see the bucket come into play, which will take stocks almost immediately. You need to keep these factors in mind, not only if you're at pace where you want to use these sorts of tools, but for Shenandoah, you don't want to be giving him the fuel he needs for a throw into a judge hammer or a situation where you are eating a full bucket to the face.
Yeah, and excuse me, you said it. I think the bucket is going to be what we need to look out for. Shenandoah has gone up against Game & Watches in the past, and Igloo explicitly has said that he doesn't want to play Samus into it. And why would you, right? It's such an obvious interaction that you need to be scared of. And I imagine part of the pick of this Samus was that he was thinking, yeah, I do want Samus into both Sephiroth and Bowser Jr., but we're not going to get that today. Pace does get the opportunity to counter-pick this Samus, if nothing else, but there are still two players behind this Samus. So a tall order, you said it, for Future on the Game & Watch, making their first appearance in this series and tasked with taking 8 stocks to keep their season and grand finals hopes alive. We will see if they're able to do it.
I'm loving what I'm seeing from Future so far. He's playing not to approach the Samus. Is basically saying, I do not need to do anything crazy. I got the bucket in my hand. I got the up special to deal with the neutral charge shot. It's going to be hard for Igloo to find the opportunities to approach, and need to be careful with going for these neutral specials and the side specials. You will be charging that bucket, but also the up special putting you in that tech situation, and Igloo does not get it in time, which means that he is down 1 stock. Game & Watch is rocking 79% and gets the shielded up B to get a little bit of damage off onto Igloo.
Yeah, okay, now this is a team game. I've said it all year long. Every stock matters, and if you're Shenandoah, if you're Igloo specifically in this situation, I have no doubt he understands his assignment. His role right now is to get at least 1 stock. A scary look there from the Game & Watch there. Does find a 9, but it won't connect. And now 150%. Again, your goal as Igloo here is to find your 1. An unfortunate early lost stock will put him in a bit of an uncomfortable situation here, but he's still got an opportunity. The jab lock into the down smash will take his 1. Job completed. Anything from here is extra credit.
Yeah, and we do see Future is now feeling the pressure. Is now the one trying to approach against the Samus, trying to close things out. Igloo doing a really good job of playing that returning game, saying, I will willingly try to dance with you. If you're going to dash attack towards me, that means there's a severe lack of bucket, and these neutral charge shots are going to get a lot of value because of it. So Igloo is getting good value, using the down B to get past the grab. Another neutral special because the Game & Watch is trying to hold forward, trying to get close, and it's not working out because Igloo just keeps building up the damage.
Yeah, the playstyle change has been drastic. The moment Future lost that stock, this truly looks like a whole different game. Future is trying to find his way in, being so aggressive, and Igloo has been more than prepared to deal with it, but the 2-frame, the dash attack on the ledge will catch Igloo just a little off guard, but enough to take the stock, and Igloo will go down, but he did find his 1 stock, so Future with only 2 stocks now to work with. And, I mean, that's on your screen just as much as it is ours.
Oh, man. This would be poetic, Chris. I am a little surprised to see Willie take the step in now.
I am too.
But I do think that if your goal is to just close this out, if you want to take the momentum you have so far and just put the final nail in this coffin, throw it back down to hell.
Yeah.
Send the scary demon man.
Yeah. I don't hate it. It's unexpected. I did not see it coming, but I get it. Right? Don't let this Game & Watch think they have momentum. Right? Send in the heavy hitters. It's a different strategy than what we saw in set number 1, where we saw AJ go in before Kip, and then Kip didn't actually end up coming out at all. But like that was a safer decision back then. Shenandoah changing it up, right? And I think it's the right move personally. I think they're similar but different situations, and I think it's the right decision both times. Willie now with an opportunity to close out this set, close out this series, close out this tournament, close out the season as Chesapeake Regional Champions.
Pace University has a tall order. You know that you are about to deal with an FGC character. Whether it is Terry or Kazuya, either way, you're dealing with a character where suddenly the bucket is not available. You have to be ready. Yes, Game & Watch has an amazing out-of-shield option. He's able to use that up special. Get whatever fighting game character is away from what I am doing. But Willie, earlier, seemed very locked in. We saw him, again, anti-airing with Electric Wind Goggles. That is, I can confirm that is not easy. And so, when you're playing against Game & Watch, who has very good aerials, and you're able to sort of dance around him, if Willie is confident in this matchup, I don't know. You're really fighting the momentum. You gotta keep away from the scary Demon Man. So as we hop onto PS2, pace goes down 1 stock. Game & Watch sitting back on the platform, you have one mission: survive.
Ladies and gentlemen, competition's a beautiful thing. I started the show with it, and this might be it. Willie with an opportunity to walk out of this matchup as Grand Finals champions in the Chesapeake region. Still got 2 stocks ahead of him, though. We'll see if he's got it in him to find these 2 stocks off of Future. 2 massive stocks that 2 of the biggest stocks he's probably had to take in his career. We will see. But so far, Future looking great. Not letting Willie get in like we saw against the other players in set number 1.
Yeah, and that's the big thing about this matchup, Chris. You do not want to be close to Kazuya. And Game & Watch does a great... What in the world? He was caught on the whirl. He was rolling past him, Chris, and Kazuya's fist was up in the air and hit on his toes.
Wow, that's an insanely aggressive call-out, but that's what it takes to win titles, and Willie knows that. Willie knows what it takes, what it's gonna take to walk out a winner today.
Electric connects. He's on the platform. Uses the up special to get out of the combo. Does eat a bomb. Willie holding on to 3 stocks. Does have the kill button, but the Game & Watch doing a good job of going off stage, preventing Kazuya from going for anything too crazy. Kazuya goes for the grab setup. Does get an electric on the platform. Gets a little bit more damage going, and Game & Watch is at the percentage to lose his stock. Does go for the nair. Gets a little bit more damage. Goes for the uppercut this time around, but it doesn't connect how he wants it. Does eat a forward smash, but Kazuya is a heavyweight. But Game & Watch goes off stage as well. Uses the laser to stall a little bit. Does recover high. Uses the electric to beat out the Game & Watch and is able to close it out. Willie closes it out for Shenandoah.
Shenandoah University walking out as champions 2-0 over Pace University. Previous demons put behind them. They dropped this series. Last time they played Pace in the regular season, they said, we will not let it happen again. And when given the opportunity to make up for their mistakes, they walk away with a title. I'm so proud of these guys behind us. They are juiced. They knew what it took. They have solidified their spot in the national tournament of NECC.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Chris. It was beautiful. Everything played out how the team wanted. They recovered. They bounced back from last week. Walked into this. They could have stayed defeated. They could have just said that stinks and they could have just walked away. Instead, they locked in. They made sure to prove a point. And I am so proud of this roster for making sure that they made their presence known in NECC. It's beautiful.
It's awesome. This is a team of winners. This is a team of champions. They started their NECC season 0-2, and that was jarring. They dropped 2 series last year in NECC, and it was to Stony Brook twice. So they lost to one team all of last year. To start the season 0-2 was jarring for me. It was jarring for you. It was jarring for the players, right? That's a hole that I don't think anybody that knows this team expected them to be in. And to be able to claw out of that, win 3 straight in NECC, win 6 straight in NACE, and place yourself in the tournament 5th seed, right? Lower than they would have wanted, but it doesn't matter. They got into the tournament and they competed. They get to grand finals. They cook up a gorgeous plan of action to take down and counteract what beat them earlier this year and come out on top with no doubt about it. Is such an incredible journey. This team has been through so much. I couldn't be happier with them. And to do it in that fashion, to 2-0, and to start with 7 or 8 stocks in both sets, undisputed Grand Finals champions, Shenandoah University. We have Willie standing by with an interview, but before then, that will do it for us. I want to sign off real quick because we've had a lot of fun following this team, and we're so thankful that you all got to watch along with us. So be sure to drop us a follow on whatever platform you may be watching, because this team deserves to be followed on any future endeavors they go on. That will do it for me, Chris Clayton, and my brother, Kevin. Molly is standing by with the MVP of the series. Molly, take us away.
Thank you so much, Chris and Kevin, for taking us through this wonderful Grand Finals. As a fellow Shenandoah student, I, of course, feel so much pride for this team taking home their NECC title. Of course, we are here with our MVP of the day. Willie came out as the opener and was the one to do the final blow at the end. I want to hear from you as your first semester really on this roster for the full time, how it feels to come away with the championship today.
I mean, I have to say, it really does feel good to finally feel like I've been able to hold up my own for the team, because my previous semester playing for Shenandoah, I felt like I maybe dropped the ball a little bit. I had some instances where I felt like I could have been more warmed up where I wasn't, and especially not playing in the spring hurt that a little bit. But it gave me the time I needed to sort of recollect, focus on myself, and in doing that, I guess I also got even better over that course of time, and I came back even stronger this semester, so I'm very happy I was able to do that for the team.
Hey, one of my favorite things to say is hard work beats talent when you continue to put in that effort and that extra time. And I think I see you here practicing more than I do anybody else. Like, you are so dedicated to this team and to your very craft that got you to the point you were hitting today. I want to talk a little bit more about this matchup, because this is the second time you ended up playing Pace. And the first time it was a loss way back in week 2. You've had a lot of time to kind of grow and change heading into this matchup. What was for you kind of the difference in the, was it something in the mentality? Did you prepare something differently going into today, because you made it look so easy from the get-go?
I think a huge part of it is planning ahead and knowing how much we had to. Obviously, we did our scouting on the first week, but it didn't go as well as we might have hoped it had. So this time around, we definitely gave it a lot more thought. We thought way more about it, and I believe it was on the ride back from a tournament the other week. I believe it was Kyle who brought up the idea, start Will, and then, because if you start Willie, that forces them to go Jules, and there's no other player on their team that can beat Willie other than Jules. So you force out Jules and then get Kyle in to finish that, and then it's free from there. That sort of strategy was very important, and it was obviously, it still worked out, but things changed as soon as we saw the Steve at the very start, because they had been trying to plan for us. They thought that Kyle was the biggest threat against Jules, so they wanted to lead Jules on a different character to try and beat Kyle before. But because we had our previous strategy already thought out, we ended up having the better one overall, and it just sort of ended up in a little bit of a blowout, just because Kazuya tends to do that. That's a difference of the character. But yeah, I think the main difference going into this was us respecting them as opponents, knowing that they were powerful opponents to be playing in grand finals, and the preparation that had to be done ahead of time.
It's so fascinating to hear about kind of the psychological game that kind of goes on behind this, other than just like actually physically hitting the buttons, like all this preparation that you put on ahead of time, that they had their own form of prep, and then to have it play out the way it did. And I'm sure that you are certainly proud of that. I kind of want to touch on your role as an anchor for this team. Is there any sort of like pressure or anxiety that you tend to get from that? Is there a way that you overcome it in these roles?
Actually, I have the same issue with being an anchor as I did. I had an issue with being an anchor this semester as I did being the starter for this game, which is that I was just worried that like it was a different position from me than normal, that I was like gonna be a little bit thrown off, not like aware as much of what I could be doing, what I should be getting done in these scenarios. But I feel like, especially compared to last semester, my ability to like sort of take those situations, calm back down, and then actually do what has to be done is very much so improved. And I'm very happy I'm able to like go from a position where I'm the last player to the first player, and then I'm able to get the team momentum that they need and then finish out if things are getting close.
Hey, from our perspectives, like we couldn't tell any of this. Like you looked calm, cool, and collected the entire way through the match, and this is it, right? This is the last game that the Smash team will be playing for this semester so far, and there's still so much more ahead. You have the entirety of spring for this team to start to prepare for, but I'm sure, of course, take a break. You deserve it after all of that rest. What are you most looking forward to? What else can this team show us as we move ahead through the school year?
I think overall, next season as well is just going to be even more of a fun time. We have a little bit more knowledge of the players we're working with, how we're going to go into NECC and NECC next semester. But I think the thing I'm most excited for this team is Nationals, because Nationals are going to be played offline without any of the issues of delay or like interference, anything like that. And I personally believe we have one of the strongest teams in the entire league offline, so I'm very excited for that.
That's a big thing to put out there too, especially since, I mean, that's still coming ahead. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this team continues to offer, because you've had the strongest performance out of our Shenandoah teams so far this year, and we're expecting similar things. You guys are talking the talk, and so far you made it. You hit the blow to match it, claiming that conference title. And once again, congratulations from all of us here at Shenandoah, and hopefully the people that are watching here at home as well. One final thing before you go ahead, let you go celebrate with your team. Any last thoughts that you have before we get ready to send it off today?
I just want to do like a special bit of a shout out, because it's not something a lot of people know. A belief that I've had with my family for a very long time, for whatever reason, is that whenever they watch, it's bad luck. So for whatever reason, we've stuck with that long enough to where for this match, they said that they will like tune into the match, but they'll watch it like a couple hours later with like the VOD and everything. So if they're watching this on the VOD, thank you guys for not watching immediately. It definitely helped.
I love that superstition, but they still show their support and their love. That's so sweet. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Billy, for coming back here, joining us on the desk, and congratulations once again to our Super Smash Bros. Varsity team on their victory today. That's going to go ahead and do it for us today on the Shenandoah broadcast. We still have our Rocket League varsity team playing in the NECC third place match on Thursday, so make sure go ahead, drop a follow on the Shenandoah Esports channel. Have a great rest of your night, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple of days back for some more Rocket League.
mentioned the times you were rude, and I never mentioned when you hate the truth. Scared to lose it all, I will stand a chance. And I don't wanna fake it. What if I can't walk away? Got me saying away, hoping I don't make the same mistake. Same mistake. Hoping I don't make the same mistake. I don't like to leave things unresolved. Maybe it's madness.